humanoid robots and where they've got to. And they were dancing in this video clip. And it was one of the most extraordinary things I've seen. And he said, you know, these are going to be the biggest thing in the world within 15 years. And everyone's going to have one, or rich people will want 10. And they're going to change the world. They're going to do every boring thing in the world you could possibly wish them to do. And he had a kind of...
In today's episode of the Piers Morgan Uncensored, we got Scott Galloway and Kevin O'Leary going head to head. And Scott, man, let me tell you, he's going in on Elon like he's skipping on child support. And he clowns him for rolling up to the White House on edibles. He's not just saying Elon Musk is controversial, but he's calling him a drugged out dictator with the space program. And you know what? You're going to want to hear what's next, because Scott absolutely goes nuclear.
The people, just on his phone, the Optimus humanoid robots and where they've got to. And they were dancing in this video clip. And it was one of the most extraordinary things I've seen. And he said, you know, these are going to be the biggest thing in the world within 15 years. And everyone's going to have one, or rich people will want 10. And they're going to change the world. And they're going to do every boring thing in the world you could possibly wish them to do. And he had a kind of boyish enthusiasm for this technology. And that made me just look at him and think, why do you need all the aggravation of politics? You know, it's like it's brought him so much aggravation. And yet, as you said, Kevin, he's a genius, really, in many other ways. I mean, do you accept, Scott, that he's a genius, or do you feel it's smoke and mirrors with Musk? Because when I watched him talk me through his Optimus thing, I just saw the 10-year-old boy who used to write programs doing it on a massive scale and loving that. Whereas I think he's really struggled with the criticism he's had in the political arena.
I don't think you can deny his genius. I'll use Starlink on my flight to London in a couple of days, and it's a superior product. I owned a Tesla. But somehow we've decided in America that innovation and money replaces or obviates or excuses depravity. Cutting off aid to HIV-positive mothers, deciding what veterans should get benefits, cutting off SNAP payments, which have shown to have a positive net return when people run out of money for food at the end of the month. I mean, I think one of the wonderful things about being an American, and quite frankly, for me, what it means to be a man and what I try to teach my boys, is the whole point of prosperity is such that you can protect people. And I think the two of you are more impressed with Mr. Musk than I am. I think if somebody is making Nazi salutes, if somebody is being sued concurrently by two women for sole custody of their child because that person has not spent any time with that child, when someone is so severely addicted to drugs they can't get their shit together to show up to the White House without looking exceptionally high, I don't think that's the right role model for young men. So what I would ask of all of us is look at what money has done to us. That if someone can land a rocket on metal scissors or create a great AV, he's a genius. He's the wealthiest man in the world. But does that mean we should excuse depravity? Does that mean, unlike Bill Gates, he's not using his billions to help people? He's not planting trees, the shade of which you won't sit under? I think this is an individual who has literally come off the tracks, who is rabidly addicted to drugs, and is using his immense power to get people elected, and that too many of us excuse what is abhorrent behavior. I think his legacy is not going to be an EV or putting rockets into space. I think it's going to be unnecessary death, disease, and disability of the world's most vulnerable. That is not what it means to be an innovator. It's not what it means to be an American. It's not what it means to be a man.
So that take was a savage run by Scott Galloway. He didn't just critique Elon, he draw kicked him through a Tesla showroom window. Like Pierce asked him the easiest question in the world: is Elon a genius? And Scott treats it like he's reading Elon's rap sheet in a federal court. He was like basically saying like, yeah, rockets are cool, but have you seen him stumbling into the White House just looking like a free base rocket fuel? He also said the guy is ducking his baby mamas, killing aid programs, and somehow still getting called the role model. And he's basically also saying like Elon's legacy won't be Mars. It'll be just a line of death, disease, and dysfunction sponsored by Twitter Blue.
Wow. Kevin, what do you say to that?
That's a tough criticism. And that's certainly the kind of controversy that surrounds him and has almost since he came on the scene at the PayPal days. He has distractors. Scott's one of them. I get it. You know, I would have kept that. There's a concept now that I deal with every day called Trump derangement syndrome internationally when I have to work in Abu Dhabi or in Zurich. And I get into a meeting and they want to go into a diatribe about Trump. And I say, this is a useless use of time. I'm not here to debate politics. I'm here to debate policy because we don't make money in politics as investors. We make money with policy. So if we could just use our valuable time together to look at the policy and see if there's an investment opportunity together. But I can't and I don't care to get into debating Trump derangement syndrome. But what you just heard there from Scott is Musk derangement syndrome. And I get it. And I think it's fair that he has those criticisms, but it doesn't distract or take away from the achievements the man has made so far and will make. And I'm an advocate for executional excellence because in the end, if you burn your calories trying to change someone who you know is not going to change and don't focus on the output that he can provide and the great solutions for mankind he has provided and hopefully will with robotics you talked about, then you are in the form of being dominated and controlled by a derangement syndrome. That's my opinion. And I've so far avoided that.
All right, so now we got Kevin O'Leary for Elon Musk's cheerleader of the year. He comes in calm, really calm. And he's like, you know what, Scott? You got Musk derangement syndrome. And Loki, he might be onto something. He's basically said, look at what Elon's actually built. Starlink, SpaceX, Neuralink, Tesla, and all the other stuff that he has. And he's like, he might be the only person who can build a civilization on Mars while tweeting Doge memes at 3 a.m. And you know, Kevin's point was clear. You can hate the noise, but don't forget the signal. But if we cancel every genius for being messy, half the apps on your phone wouldn't even exist. And I agree with that. But kind of look like he's a cheerleader right now. Let's keep going.
And I work a lot in Washington now, and you know, I'm very, very fortunate to be able to work on a bipartisan basis because I represent entrepreneurship and job creation for small business, and that's bipartisan. Even AOC and Elizabeth Warren want to support that, and I can have my narratives with them. But when we get into Trump derangement, I shut off, and it's just a waste of time. And I think that's a waste of time criticizing, you know, that he's not a man. I mean, I just find that. And I respect Scott. I mean, I respect his opinion. I respect all opinions, but let's burn our calories moving the needle forward is my view.
I would also add to that, Scott, I think you make some very valid points about USAID, and I really want to see the data on that when it comes in, is to see exactly what the bottom line impact has been. And if it is anywhere near the levels that you and Bono think it's going to be or is being, it's clearly going to be appalling. But I would say on the derangement syndrome aspect of Musk and Trump, they both attract a huge amount of support and plaudits and aggro and so on. You know, you referenced there that he did a Nazi salute. And I don't think you actually think he did a Nazi salute for a moment. I mean, I'll ask you, but I don't think you do. And the other day, Cory Booker did exactly the same thing on stage, literally almost exactly the same thing. And all the people who had leapt on Elon Musk and said, he's a Nazi, did a Nazi salute, blah, 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 they all said the complete opposite about Cory Booker.
You know, that's kind of what Scott was trying to say. It's like a double standard. You know, you got Cory Booker doing the same thing, but nobody really cared. But since Elon is more in the eye of the people, it's a big deal. I personally don't think Elon is a Nazi, but people just go with what they see and they automatically think he's just this big problem for the world. I mean, I do support some of the things that he's doing. You know, that first Optimus robot comes out, I'm getting one for sure. Definitely getting one. But what do you guys think? Is Scott holding Elon accountable or is Kevin right? And are we just addicted to outrage? I know I am.